primarily. Multiple choice number 1 deals with moving expenses. Now, a person is going to get some reimbursement for moving expenses from his employer, and he's picking that up in income. So the big issue is, how much moving expense can he deduct? Since he's picking up the reimbursement in income, it means it could be he did get no reimbursement. How much can he deduct? Now, for the moving expense question, I think all you need is to look back at your notes where we said moving expenses no longer deductible, and then we had a category still deductible. I think that's all you should need for that particular question. And that was kind of short. Multiple choice number 2, do last. It's lengthy, and if you run short of time, obviously I'd rather you forfeited those 5 points and got the rest of the exam done. Remember the example on the board last week where we had the older lady contributing land and cash to a church? It's a guy contributing cash and stock. Stock he held for many years to a charity. I want you to do option 1, which has 2 separate carryovers. Option 1 with 2 separate carryovers. Identify each one separately. And then option 2, which is cost, which I believe has no carryovers. Option 1 will be better, but I want you to show for all the points, there would be partial credit here, for all the points show both options. I mean, it's not a bad question, it's just that it takes a lot of time. And I want you spending 25 minutes on that question, not getting the rest of the exam done. Number 3 and number 4 are charitable contributions. Number 3, how do we treat contributions to various individuals panhandling on the street? No deduction, right. And I'm going to hold some stock 2 months. 2 months, and donate it to the Red Cross. So remember how that would be treated. If the property which had been sold would give rise to ordinary income or short-term capital gain, remember your deduction is, that was that indented part on that lecture sheet. Number 4, which is charitable. This is the one where you bought 4 tickets to the New Year's Eve gala. 2 you gave to a needy family, but that's irrelevant. You bought 4 tickets, and how many tickets did you use? 4. Do you remember how much you deduct for each of those tickets? Do you remember? Cost minus the fair value of what you got. Whatever you paid minus the fair value of what you received. And the charity should be giving you the fair value of what you received. That's an obligation. This is also the problem where we have a union bartender and he's doing work for half the normal union rate. Is that relevant? What if he did the work for free? Does it matter?
No.
No. Remember, you cannot deduct the fair market value of services rendered. Someone help Barry out after class. I couldn't hold off any longer. Problem number 5, I'm going to give you the question, just not the answers. There's one answer. Which of the following is a miscellaneous itemized deduction? Which of the following is a miscellaneous itemized deduction? Now, 4 of these we discussed in class and said they were not. Not. So is the other one. Question 6 and question 7. This is receiving property by gift. Receiving property by gift. In one case, selling it right away. In the other case, we're going to use it and depreciate it for a while and then sell it. So remember the basis rules for property received by gift. Problem number 8. This is the guy selling the building. Remember where we have the 4 items that make up amount realized? This is that question. What's the gain on the sale? Now there's A through E, and none of the answers is none of the above. Every now and then a student will swear the answer is not there. It is. 4 items make up the amount realized. Subtract out the selling expense. That's your adjusted sales price. Minus your adjusted basis. Remember, that was the cost of the building plus any improvements, less depreciation. So follow that format. Number 9, individual sells his personal residence. He's a single guy. What's his recognized gain? Remember to use the $250,000 exclusion. Use the $250,000 exclusion. $10 and $11 are the same situation. This is the tractor problem. It's a 1031 exchange. And I am going to receive cash as part of the exchange. The cash is boot. The cash is boot. So this reminds me of Roman numeral 3 on the 1031 sheet. Let's skip 12 and go back. 13. This is a 1031 like-kind exchange. There is no boot. So it's either like situation 1 or situation 2 on the 1031 sheet. Problem 12, because we passed on 12, remember. 12 is the 1033 involuntary conversion. That's the tearing down the garage and replacing with the new garage and a remodeled warehouse converted to a garage. And the last 2 of the multiple choices, computational, please show it. This is receiving investment land by inheritance. Inheritance. And then in one case selling it at a gain, the other case selling it at a loss. The second part of the exam is matching 12 of these. I think we went over some of these last week. Let's just review a few of them. If we have loss on the sale of our house, how is that treated, the loss of the sale of our house? That's right, not deductible. Tracy's right. Remember, that was letter H, not deductible at any time. I remember we talked about the history teacher travels, and Lena talked about that. What about the Wall Street Journal? I have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, but I am not a broker. I only handle my own investments. What letter would apply? H is too severe. I think it's a miscellaneous itemized deduction subject to the 2%. Because remember, why can I deduct the Wall Street Journal? Because I have investment assets. So I'm looking at price quotations. price quotations. So letter G would be a likely possibility on this exam. What letter should you not put down if you don't know? F. So when guessing, don't put F down. What about this? We talked about job hunting expenses, paying a fee to obtain new employment. What would that be? So you think, what would that be? Fee paid to obtain new employment, like job hunting. Someone take
G too.
G also, yes. It's another miscellaneous itemized deduction, subject to the reduction of 2% of AGI. What about making it cost of improvements for your personal residence? What's the best answer? Cost of improvements to your personal residence. Go ahead, Tracy. That's right, letter I. It's not H. H would imply that there's no benefit ever. Tracy's right, it's I, because you capitalize it as part of the cost of your residence. So there's 12 of those. They're kind of a pain usually, but you can test a lot in a short period of time. Now they call this essay, but it's really problems. Problem 1 and problem 3. I had a choice, I have a choice option and I crossed the choice option out. I know, I haven't used the choice option in 5 years, but I leave it in there, I don't know why. Let's talk about problem 3 first, because this one we talked about before we went to the bar, the potato bar. And that was the trading a rental house, remember, on a piece of land and a truck. And so that was the fair market value of those that we received, minus the adjusted basis of the old house and the old piece of land that we gave up. So that was problem 3. But what about this problem 1, Bill? It says it's worth 41 points. It's all medical. Part capital A, part capital A. Here you have to do a computation. You'll add the qualifying medical expenses. It says there's one of the items is drugs and medicines. We'll assume that's prescription drugs. You add them all up and you reduce the amount by what? 10%. 10% of AGI. Reduce it by 10% of AGI. Sometimes students get confused. Doesn't happen much, but I have to smile, unfortunately. They'll take 10% of AGI and say, this is the deduction. No, 10% of AGI is the amount you can't deduct. But, the tax laws are confusing. Now, for capital B, for uppercase B, lowercase parts, this is capital B and then it's little b. A, B, C, D, E, and H. A, B, C, D, E, and H. For those, all you have to do is say yes or no. No explanation required. Yes, it is a medical expense. No, it isn't. Yes or no. No explanation required. They should be situations we went over in class. And this group did really well, so I've got high aspirations for next week. A, B, C, D, E, and H. Bill, what about F and G? Here I want more. I want you to copy out of the notes. F is the notes, or the smoking cessation programs, the stop smoking. Remember, I want you to list what is deductible and what is not deductible from the notes. What is deductible, what is not deductible, and talk about nicotine. Nicotine. That's F. So it's not a yes or no. Deductible and non-deductible, right from the notes. What would G be? What's the other item we talked about, both deductible and non-deductible? The one that affected Bill.
Oh, the obesity.
The obesity, the weight loss programs. What is deductible? What is not deductible? List them both and mention the obesity word. So those are more extensive than the yes or no. Also, there's I and J. I and J. Here we're assuming these are medical expenses. But what would be the measure of the deduction? One of them is the specialized diet. The specialized diet. Now, I know it's difficult to establish enough of that, but we're assuming we are entitled to a specialized diet. What was the measure of the deduction? Does anyone remember?
The difference in the normal diet.
Yeah, the cost of the special diet, Amy's right, over the cost of a normal diet. So that's all you'd have to say. The deduction would be the excess of the cost of the special diet over the cost of a normal diet. We're not getting into what you'd have to establish to be able to do that. And the other one is also from our notes, the measure of deduction where we have capital improvements for medical purposes. Capital improvements for medical purposes. Like putting an elevator into your home so you can traverse steps. Or the backyard hydrotherapy swimming pool that we talked about last week. So what do you think of the exam?
It's probably going to take longer. It seems like there's
It is a
more
longer exam, and that's why there's more time provided. But I'm encouraged based on the results of this last exam. Okay, well I've got, next of all, we're going to go over these exams you just took. I am collecting them back afterwards, but, and please, this is when we stop recording. Then we'll pick up recording again. I got to go.